Hey, welcome back to another Scope Creepers podcast. My name is Aarimous. I hope you're having a fabulous day. Today's episode, I have none other than Jackie Codes, who I have known for a while because we both stream over on Twitch, have raided into and out of each other, and over the years, I've watched Jackie's channel slowly grow, where now she averages around like 100 to 200 viewers whenever she goes live, and they're absolutely just fabulous and fun conversations. I highly suggest you go check out her channel over on Twitch and also over on YouTube, where she has some great both educational and kind of devlog style videos that I think you'll really enjoy. Our conversation today really focuses around Jackie and talking about her exploration of game development, things she's learned along the way, approaches she has to game development and content creation and communication and being social and reaching out to all of these different great creators she's known. And it's just a really fun conversation, and it was a blast to finally get to talk to her, and I guess in person. We're all digital here, so it's a good conversation. I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions that you want me to answer or ask, or people you want to have on, leave them down in the comments below. I was thinking of maybe doing just an episode where I answer random questions and just kind of chat with myself for an hour and see what I can, what mischievousness I can get up to by myself. So if you have questions, leave them down in the comments below. But without further ado, let's dive into my conversation with Jackie Codes. All right, so where I wanted to start is just understanding, why did you get into game development in the first place? Like, was there like an inciting incident that sent you on this journey? And kind of how did you dive into game development?
It's always been that thing that I've just been like, I've always wanted to do that. It was just a period of my life where I actually pulled the trigger and started doing it, and I also right off the bat started documenting the progress. I did like a whole I started with Unity. and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make. Actually, what I'm proud of myself when I started was that I chose to make Mario.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I started. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make Mario. So I think that was very good move, because it's like not super difficult, but also it's just recreating a game that's that simple is, I think, is a very good stepping stone.
Yeah.
And I always tell people who are starting to make
second.
platformers. Yeah, no problem.
I locked my partner out of our house. There's like a gut reflex when I shut the door. Sometimes it's just like lock the switch. So, oops. Sorry. So you made Mario as your first game.
Yeah, I think it's really good when you're starting off to make a platformer, because it's just very simple, left, right. You don't have to worry about up, down, left, right. It's just gravity takes care of the vertical, and you just flip the character. You don't have to do as much art if you're going the full route.
Yeah.
So that's why I think is a very good place to start.
And that was done in Unity?
Yeah.
Why and when did you switch to Godot?
So actually, the funny thing is, when I first started because like Mario was just like I want to try out game development, but then when I think I very quickly was like, okay, I'm gonna make my own project.
Yeah.
And it was like a Greek RPG. And before I even started that project, I was deciding whether to use Unity or Godot, and I actually ended up going with Unity. And my reasoning actually wasn't so solid. I don't know. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna use Unity for this.
Yeah.
Like I even did like the full, like a lot of the Heartbeast tutorial and everything. So yeah, that was interesting that I ended up going with Unity in that first instance. But then after using Unity, I think for like around 8 months developing this project, I was just like, oh, I want to try out Godot again. So then I tried out Godot, and then literally from trying out Godot again, I just made another platformer, but this time I didn't use any tutorial. I just tried it myself. After that, I was just like, I don't want to go back to Unity.
What was the like process, or like I guess the feeling of like doing it on your own compared to Unity, like, and not doing tutorials? Were you able to like transfer some of your skills from Unity into Godot that kind of just like gave you a good idea of like
For sure. I mean,
how to
I
approach
think
it?
there's like, yeah, there's a lot of general game development obstacles that one approaches, like, when you're using a cylinder collider and there's friction, like it's you use that because there's friction. There's
Sure.
like so many things. I think I'm the type of person that I like to, when I learn knowledge, I don't learn things like I'm just learning for Godot game development. Like I always try to extrapolate the knowledge and apply it to every single thing. Like I always got really mad at my friends in university when they were just like, "No, I'm a C++ developer. I'm just going to do C++." I always made fun of people like that because I feel like it's ridiculous. Like you learn one language, the next language is easier, and it's just from then on it's just knowledge.
What do you think made it easier for you to learn like other languages and stuff?
Well, I've always really liked Python.
Okay.
Um so Godot GDScript was
Yeah.
there, it's so similar oh, and also, yeah, when I first started game development, I was doing web development,
Okay.
so I was using TypeScript. So I
Sure.
always tell people that GDScript is Python and TypeScript,
Yeah.
like when you have typed. So that was pretty easy transition for me, I think, to program, and I just really like the dynamic nature of Godot. So that to me, and the tree like structure of it, for me, it's like that it just clicks so much and it just makes so much sense. And I just really don't like how Unity game objects work. I much prefer having a tree structure with the nodes and everything. It just makes sense.
Yeah. I think when I switched, I remember it taking a little bit of time to kind of have it click. And then eventually it kind of just clicks of like, oh, okay. This all makes a lot more sense. And like, I mean, especially in the last 5 years, they've made using the scene tree so much easier, just simply with like the little percent signs on that. Those things like it makes it so easy to access everything. Um,
Yeah. I think maybe I chose Unity at first because it was just more stable,
sure.
but I feel like it was good that I used it for that 8 months, however much I used it, because it really made me appreciate what Godot does better, like the facility and how easy it is, I guess. So,
Do you
yeah,
have your
I think
list
that
of
was.
things that it does better? And have you made a YouTube video about that? 'Cause those are like my best YouTube videos performing are like why Godot over Unity, and like I have my running list of things that I like. But what are your maybe your top like one or two things that you're like, if you can think back to when you use Unity compared to Godot, that you're like, this is what I like about Godot.
I mean, I can't. The only thing that really like stands out in my head is the UI. Like I remember doing UI stuff in Unity and it was so annoying. And there's something that it's like it's not really like a feel, it's not like anything in particular, but I just remember there were so many things when I was using Unity, I would just get stuck in places and then I would fix it, but I never really knew what was happening. I don't know, it was
Sure.
just so much friction that
Hmm.
I would experience, and I was just like, I don't know what happened. Okay, but I fixed it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just I feel freer, I guess.
So a little bit of like the kind of lightweight nature of Godot, I suppose, and like how
Probably.
it feels like stuff is like, I mean, it is literally developed by people who use the engine as well, and so it
For
feels
sure.
more like when you play a game, sometimes you're like, this developer played this game. Like you can tell by the little things that developers do in games. Are like they played their game extensively and they knew what it wasn't like somebody else told them to make this game. It's like they love it, they know what they're doing. I feel like that is a vibe I get with Godot. Whether or not that's just me being biased towards using it and making content around it, I don't know.
I think it made a lot of sense when I went to GodotCon last year. Juan was giving a speech. The creator, with him and Ariel, were the ones who created Godot, and he said he was just emphasizing how when they were making the engine, they were emphasizing usability. Just
Yeah.
make sure you can use it easily. Everything's there. It makes sense, and I see that a lot with the engine. That it's just like you said, it's made by people who actually use it.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I think is just so awesome about the engine. Like going to all these conventions, you get to know the actual people who work on the different parts of it, and you could talk to them, you know them by name, and that's something that you can't do with any other engine. I mean, I was at GDC, there was the Unity booth, the Unreal booth and the Godot booth, and there was just such a different vibe. Like obviously, the
Yeah,
different engines and the people there and everything, and it was just yeah, it's hard to replicate.
absolutely. So when you're thinking back to that first kind of 8 months of getting into game development and you were like trying it out and kind of doing some tutorials and then starting your first like major project, was there something that clicked of like, oh, this is something I want to do, more seriously and like really dive into? Was there a moment where you're like, or something about game development that like made you kind of fall in love with it, or?
I've just always liked expressing myself. Like I've always liked drawing. Like I tried doing music. And for me, it's like game development is the ultimate expression.
Yeah.
You could just create your own world. So it's like for me, it was kind of obvious that it's funny because I feel like my whole life I never thought I would do this with my life. I've been pretty practical. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
no, you can't do game
Nah,
development.
nah,
That's a
silly. Go
dream.
get a job after university. Like you'll be fine. Like whatever. Yeah.
So yeah, like I was very cautious because I was still doing like web development on the side. But it's like once I saw that it was actually viable, it was a no-brainer for me. I was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna try to keep doing this as much as possible. And yeah, so
And that's from the just kind of the overarching creative nature and like enjoyment of doing like different things.
yeah, you don't get bored. You're not doing the same thing every day. There's just so much to learn.
Yeah. Is there something particularly hard for you in game development that you like? There's a lot of disciplines, right? There's a lot of different tasks that we have to do. Is there one that stands out as like I don't want to deal with this?
Hmm. For me, what I need to get, because for me, it's like I really like programming. So it's like I don't mind just doing the programming stuff, but I need to dedicate more time to like design. And because sometimes I get a little tunnel vision where I'm like implementing stuff, but I don't see the overarching image.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm starting to get better at it. Like I think that's also something that you acquire when you release games, so you see like what it takes to make a game. You don't just need a good game mechanic, but you need that whole vision. So for me, yeah, just making the design all fleshed out and just realigning yourself every day with the vision. And yeah, I think that's just something I need to work on more. I don't know, technically, I'm not sure there's any. I'm sure there's there is something. I'm not good with shaders. Like that's something
It's still
I
magic
also
to me as well.
need to, yeah. Yeah, I don't know anything in particular, but yeah.
Design makes a lot of sense. I think I'm getting there as well, where I'm at the point now where I'm like, yeah, I can probably make any game idea I have. Like I have enough capabilities and experiences to like at least have faith that I can figure it out, right? Maybe I can't actually do all of the art and modeling I need to do to like execute on it, but like I can at least make it. And the design part feels like the part where that's where you're going to save like hundreds and thousands of hours of work, is like having a good design idea. And like I found myself implementing things, trying them out, feeling them out, having like my community give me feedback, and then ripping them out constantly. Have you done that at all? And like as you're like exploring design work, are there like systems or things that you'll put in to like feel out? Because maybe you're like, I don't know if this is gonna work or not. Like, how do you explore that, like the design space of a game?
Yeah. Well, right now I'm working on like a project that I want to release in like five-ish months. So I'm actively trying these things out. I think it's important, like, because since we're content creators, it's easy to get into this thing like, oh, we have so many people watching us, like, we'll be fine. But it's like, honestly, you don't only need like a good design, but you need everything else. Like, you need the backdrop, you need everything to like come together to make the experience holistic. Like, what was the question again? Sorry.
How do you explore the design space? And you're working your way through that question.
So I think there like you need to really merge the mechanics with the the lore or the story, and once you find something that really makes sense, it's so much easier to come up with um different mechanics or different things that work together. Like, but you need to first understand like what this game is about. Like, I don't know, for instance, you haven't played Blueprints. Just
I've watched
I'm
people play
trying to think about.
Blueprints all the way through, so I'm familiar enough with it.
But yeah, like since my game is like heavily connected with this blueprints structure where you're opening doors and creating rooms, it's like then you think, okay, you're opening doors and creating rooms. What else can you have? You can have a gem item that helps you re-roll the room. Okay, you start building up on that, but
Sure.
it's not only that, that's just the mechanics. Then like in blueprints there's like a murder mystery. So it's like then since that's the backdrop, there's other things you can add. So you could add different rooms that display the murder mystery, and like that's it just makes the player, it's like the fuel for the engine.
Yeah.
um it kind of drives the car because it's like the car is good, the car is the mechanics, but like the story is the fuel that makes the player like, oh my god, why I need to keep playing, I need to know what's happening. So I think it's important that when you have those two elements, it allows the car to drive like the game to work.
Sure. A little bit like I guess where I want to go with that is like there's you said like putting fuel on the fire, and that's like
In
I
a
would say
car.
like a piece of wood is an idea or something, right? And you're like shoveling wood into your burning fire pit or whatever. Maybe you're making tea, a kettle of tea on top of it. That'd be nice. That sounds cozy. Um, how do you how do you know once you've put too much wood in there, or like which pieces of wood suck? Have you figured that out yet? Because like I think that's what's the hard part for like doing content too, is like people in Twitch have plenty of ideas, and they're not all created equally, and sometimes they come in with zero context of anything and they just say, what about this thing? And like they throw a piece of wood at you and you say, I don't know what to do with this. What do you do with that? What do you do with all the different ideas? They either come from yourself or other sources, and like how do you manage? I guess it's a kind of a scope creep ish question, but like how do you manage
Mhm.
that?
Honestly, by having a deadline. Like,
Yes.
because I feel like me saying like, because obviously I've been working on a project that I was just like, I don't know when I'm gonna finish it, and I just add wood everywhere. But it's like now with this new project, like me having this deadline like 5 months, like quarter one, like I keep saying quarter one 2026, that really makes you just get the essentials, because if you have a good concept,
Yeah.
you don't need to clutter it. Like it's good. It has an idea, and obviously you need to play a lot of games as well. You need to explore the space. You
Hmm.
need to really dig down on these games that do good and extrapolate what makes them good. And you see that it's like it's not a lot. Of course, like if the game is successful, you can add more and more content, but it's like the skeleton needs to be good. It needs to be, to drive itself.
Looking at games in, I guess, our wheelhouse, right? Like solo devs or devs with, help here and there. How does how how would you define a quote unquote good game based off of kind of your exploration of um I guess the area of games you think you can make? Are there like similar games that come to mind? Blueprints is the example you gave, but maybe that's in my head too big of an idea for a solo dev. I don't know. So how do you define a good game? That's my question.
I mean, it's just has to be something that's that really makes you want to like come back and keep playing. It's that feeling you get where it's like there's so many things working in its favor. It's like Blueprints doesn't just have Blueprints, it has like the beautiful art.
Mm-hmm.
It looks good. It has this mystery that you're trying to find out. And Hades, it's not just a great roguelike with so many different like combat systems. Like you could swing, you can hold down and do a power shot. You have all these different attacks, but it's like then it has the Greek gods, then it has the good story.
The
You're just like,
music,
what's gonna, yeah, the
voice
music. It has
acting.
all. the special effects it has. So it's like all these things,
Yeah.
that work in its favor. But at the end of the day, it's like Vampire Survivors has poor graphics. It's like what works in its favor. It has, these synergies that go good together. It has these, and like the RNG and roguelikes that allow you're forced to do different play styles each time because it's like you don't know what item you're going to get. So that like forces you to go, if you just had like, for instance, like things that you could choose and it wasn't random, then you would just play the same run each time.
Yeah.
But the RNG makes it so that you're forced to have different runs each time. So it's like extracting what works in your genre as well is super important. And that's the same with blueprints. Like you don't know what door you're going to open. And mixing this with a roguelike makes it easier because I don't have to worry about procedural generation because basically like the door structure, opening a new room does it for me.
Your loot
I don't have
generate
to
your procedural generation is your basically how you generate the options that the player gets.
Yeah, because you have to think like, why do people like procedural generation? It's because they want like a different experience each time they do a run. They
Yeah.
want the runs to be different. So it's like really also just exploring your genre, playing the games around it, and like extracting the essence of the genre. Like, why do people like roguelikes? Why do they like RNGs? Like, right now, I am obsessed with roguelikes. So I'm playing. I saw you were looking at like He Is Coming and stuff, like looking at the new things that are coming out as well, because these new games are getting influenced by the games that are coming out now.
Yeah.
But I'm also super interested in old games as well, like Rogue, and I think it's important to get influence and to shamefully take things that work, not to overthink that.
Yeah, I like the idea that we're getting inspiration from things and everything is building upon each other. And the same negative like I feel like there's a huge like cultural thing in game developers of like stealing mechanics and like stealing this and like taking like it's like that's not how it works. Like
like when people talk about stealing game mechanics, I always tell them like, do you realize how similar Stardew Valley is to Harvest Moon?
yeah. Yeah.
It's so similar.
Well, and you could literally clone a game and remake it, and I guarantee it would feel different. If you literally said I'm taking this exact thing and I'm going to make it myself, it would be made differently because you would make some different decisions. And like, it might be like a little derivative and stuff like that, but like that's an okay thing to do, I think, especially from a perspective of like we're game developers trying to learn how to make games. And if we can't make games, then I don't know. Why the roguelike genre? Why is that something that's been enticing to you as a game developer?
I think it allows you to have a smaller scope, which is nice. Because it's the whole like going on different runs, and I was just working on like a story adventure game, so it's like I know what it feels like to work on something that has a huge scope to it. So I don't, maybe I'm wrong. I haven't finished the game. It could, take much longer than I expect, and I'm perfectly ready for that. I know that games normally take longer. But yeah, since I've never actually made a roguelike, but it's always been in the back of my mind since I've started game development.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting. But yeah, I don't really have a past of playing a lot of roguelikes, but I think, I don't know, maybe it could even, Vampire Survivors could have been like the one that got me into it, or Hades.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think it's an interesting genre to develop.
I mean, I fully agree. I have released 2 roguelikes so far. The next game's not going to be a roguelike yet. Who knows? There's still time. But like Hexagod eventually was not a roguelike and became one. So, maybe all things in my brain become roguelikes. What do you think is going to be hard about your current project or working on a roguelike in general as you like kind of look forward to the next 5 months? And like, it could also be a challenge you're currently facing. Like, I've always been very fascinated by the idea of thinking about a game idea and then being like, what is for me going to be the hard part, whether that's art, coding, procedural generation, balance. Like, is there something that stands out to you as like the hardest part or maybe, unknown? I don't know. What comes to mind?
Yeah, I really want to make the combat the best that it can be. And it's like, with action combat, there's many things you can add to it to make it more exciting. So it's like the question is, do I add parrying? There's so many things you can add. I've added combos. I've never had that in,
Cool.
my action game, so that was something new.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just because there's many systems that I've already done, so they're very easy for me to implement. But these things, I know are the hardest. The good thing about this game I'm working on is that I made it for a game jam.
Yeah.
So it's like I had the whole loop ready. And now I've changed it a lot. But just knowing that the loop was already done, and when I was working on it for the game jam, I knew I would be working on it after the game jam. So it's like I made sure that these core mechanics were very solid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that the combat, because it's like the rooms are also kind of small, so I know that you can't like overflow them with enemies. You need to make the enemies interesting. So I know that that could potentially be a challenge, and that's the base part of the game is fighting.
Yeah.
Making decisions, fighting.
If that doesn't feel good, then the rest of, even if like the rooms are really interesting and that process feels good, like they'll be making that decision probably once every like minute or so of a new room, and that could be really fun and interesting. But if the combat sucks, then going into the rooms will be like, oh, that's like pulling teeth out. That does seem like a really hard challenge. I feel like, I guess here's my question: compared to working on Hypatia, I don't know what's the name of your new game?
It changes every day.
What's the name right now?
Yeah, it's gone from I call it Logcraft. That was the first name for it.
Yeah.
But Night Ward maybe.
Yeah. Cool. Compared to working on that game, like how much did you kind of take from that in like all those learnings and things you've done? Because I feel like it's a very similar perspective with like combat and movement. So was there a lot of like that ability to run fast in this new project where you could just like yoink stuff from the old one and kind of maybe change it and manicure it? Like how much kind of reused information or code did you have?
So much. Like, oh my God. Like not only the character controller, but the enemies and all of that. That's the thing, like that's what I'm happy about. That I was able to spend so much time on that project because I was not afraid to refactor things, and I think that was amazing because at the end of the day, I didn't have any deadlines breathing down my back, so I was able to really make it as good as I could.
Yeah.
So I have changed so much code while developing it, and also it's been nice because I've worked in teams, and I did a game jam with like Mrs. Iz's and I got to see how he made his character controllers and everything. That helped so much.
Yeah.
So that influenced my further code. I also made a mobile game with Pierre Van de Mazon and he showed me, he was making that game with him. I think it was in a week or 2 weeks.
Wow.
I think we might have made it in a week. He is a game design god. So I saw how he structured the game, and also just him spitting out pixel art really inspired me to just develop my pixel art skills way more. And for this game, I'm just doing pixel art. I started off because for the game jam, it was 2 weeks. I knew I wasn't going to do pixel art, so I just took asset packs. It's fine.
Yeah.
And now I'm just replacing them slowly.
Yeah.
Doing the pixel art and not being afraid to just, because that's what I had before. It was just like this fear of like not making good pixel art, but it's like now I'm just producing it and getting better. Like you have to just understand and believe that, okay, I might spend 6 hours to make this enemy now, but then when I make another enemy, it's going to take maybe 4 hours. And then when I make another enemy, maybe it'll take 3.5. And then, you just got to believe that you're getting better and you'll get more efficient, because that's how it works when you're programming.
Yeah.
Doing other things.
It's one of the coolest parts of game development is that feeling of like, it feels like the ultimate game because like you unlock things. You're like, ooh, I unlocked how I like to do procedural generation. So now in the future, if I ever
Yeah.
need to do that, I have this base here. Oh, I'm doing character controllers. Now I'm doing top-down character controller. Oh, I already have my 2D, one with gravity. Now I have like you have these little like systems that you can keep pulling from your old projects so that like when you get to a game jam or a new project, you can just like run really, really fast in that first like couple weeks. And I feel like that's something that's been fun to feel over the years. Like especially like looking at game jams, I used to see people who'd win those and be like, "How did you make that?" And I think I'm
Yeah.
understanding it more now as like, "Oh, they knew a lot more. They had a lot more experience than I did."
Yeah, that's whenever I see people make amazing games for game jams, I go to their itch page and I see all the projects
Yep.
they made and I'm just like, all right. And that's why it's like when people ever like tell me, "Oh my God, how did you make this game?" I was like, "I've been making so many games before this. Like
Yeah.
it's you don't need to feel bad, you know."
I think that context is really good because it is so easy with game development to be in your first 100 hours of doing it and then look up and be like, wow, Balatro is a really cool game. I have no idea how any of that game is made, right? Like, I barely know how to render a card on the screen. Or looking at like Stardew Valley, which a lot of people like get inspired by at the beginning, and like like you make your pixel art and it doesn't look anything close to like that kind of cohesive art style.
Yeah, but you could see Eric Baroni's like you saw he did so many iterations on the pixel art. You could even see the images of what the pixel art looked like before and then like his first iteration of all the portraits and then
Yeah,
the ones that ended up in the game.
yeah,
And there's just when you dig cuz whenever there's a good game that comes out, I always like digging on the devs. Like I look, okay, where's the studio? Who are the devs? What were they doing? Cuz like for me that's also super interesting. So like Vampire Survivors. The guy was making gambling games, I think. So it's like that makes sense as to
sure, okay,
why it
yeah,
like hacks your brain
yeah.
because it's like the gambling machines like just add so much dopamine in Vampire Survivor. You see all the
Opening the
colors
chest
and
is
lights
such a
and things.
fun moment in that game because they
Exactly. So it's
understood
like
gambling in slot machines and stuff like that. Is there a
yeah, so I think it's
go ahead.
yeah, sorry.
I was gonna say, is there a
No,
particular
go.
dev that stands out that you dug into and like, maybe were inspired by or something like that, or a cool story?
I, it it's really different for the games. I like reading a lot of books. Trying to think. I mean, I did do a lot of research on Eric Baroni, but I think a lot of people have. How he, he also, I think it's important. He had a very supportive partner.
Yeah,
There's little things like that that make a difference. Like, what are you also doing when you're not doing game development? Are you getting enough sleep?
yeah,
Are you exercising? Are you stretching? Are you, like, are you? It doesn't just come down to your fingers on the keyboard. For me that what's helped a lot is having so many cool friends
mm-hmm.
and like not only in the game dev space but the Godot space, and just talking to these people. Streaming I think is also an amazing thing because you get to show your game. You get to get so much insight from people by just live streaming, but I also think it's important that you understand you have the reins because also live streaming in front of people it can make you feel like you need to impress them and then it's like if you're like oh look what I implemented and then they're just like okay and then you could feel like crap. So I think it's important to also as being a live streamer you need to not care. You need to not care but you need to listen as well. You just need to be able to not care in the sense of making you feel bad if nobody gives attention to things.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, people are not like analyzing your stream. Some of them are having it in the background, some of them are
I would say most
chilling.
of them probably have it in the second monitor, right? Like even this podcast,
Exactly.
someone's probably listening to it, second monitor and doing their own game development right now.
Yeah. So yeah, it's there's a lot of things that you need to take into account.
You've been streaming for a couple of years now, right? Like 3, 4, 5, I don't know.
4 maybe?
Four.
I don't know.
Would you recommend that other people do it? Kind of, I mean, you've had a lot of success in, especially relative to, I'd say any stream, right? Getting over 100 views average is really, really impressive. Um, especially in the software development space, like that is, you're a top 4 channel every time you go live. Would you recommend other people stream? A lot of people ask me that with like YouTube and streaming, and they're like, would you recommend I get into this when I'm doing game development as well? What are your recommendations to people when they ask that question?
It really depends on their motivations. Like, are you motivated by money? Are you motivated by,
Yeah.
I think if you're motivated on making a game, I would say yes. Because honestly, I get sometimes when I'm not streaming and I have a day where I'm just working on my game, it's kind of hard to sit down and just focus on my game. But
Sure.
when I'm streaming, I know like I'm going to be working on my game,
Yeah.
you know?
You can't pull up another
Of course,
Twitch stream while you're streaming on Twitch.
yeah. So and it also when I look at my GitHub history, it's like all the days I stream, it's just green, you know?
Yeah.
It's like that's the most. So in that sense, yeah, if you're working on your game, yes, it's also a really nice co-working space. You know, when people raid each other, they know each other's games, you know, they have the same community, and in that sense, I think it's very good. If you're trying to make money or you're trying to be famous, it's like I would not
Yeah.
recommend it. Of course, it's possible, and you could. And also, if you have a very interesting game, I think if you want to be a streamer, the software and game development category is the best to like um get off the ground quickly because there's not as many people who are doing it.
Yeah.
It's so easy to just play Fortnite and stream in the Fortnite category, but to actually work on a project, I think that's much harder. So, yeah, like it depends on the motivations whether I would recommend it.
What are your motivations for streaming?
Yeah, so I obviously like it's working on my game is top priority.
Yeah.
But also, you know, there's many motivations. Like for me, it's like community is a huge thing because as content creators, it's like that's what it is. Like that's what we are. We are our community.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, at the end of the day, I also get revenue, and that's like a consistent
Yeah.
revenue each month.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps a lot to increase motivation. Um, but I also think it's important to have multiple revenue streams because when you have Twitch, it's not something you can predict every month. It's super sporadic. So, it's good not to rely too heavily on it, but also to be consistent. If you really want to be a streamer, you
Yeah.
have to stream on the days that are on your schedule. But yeah, there's many motivations, but through these 4 years of me producing content, I have been streaming on the days like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, unless I'm on vacation somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I am streaming on those days. So it's like the consistency is also really nice to have when you are a freelancer, whatever we are.
Mm-hmm.
So just having that core heartbeat, I guess.
Sure. I
When
think
everything else is just so crazy.
I think that core, the reliability of me going live was something that I started to fail at pretty hard, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it from a perspective of like just getting to hang out with my existing community and not worry too much about growth and stuff like that anymore, and just kind of remove the pressure on it. And I think that's made when I go live, it is a much more fun and enjoyable experience because it just like I'm just hanging out. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm not trying to be productive or X, Y, and Z. And it's made streaming
But I think
more
it's
fun for me.
important that I think it's important that since I started streaming, I was like, I'm streaming 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And I think I'm glad I did that because 3 days is not as much if you think about it. Like I could do more if I wanted to, but I'm there for those 3 days, and that is definitely something I can stay committed to in the long run.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to think long run. It gives me time to do YouTube videos as well. It gives me time to work on my game off stream.
Yeah.
So I think that's also important.
Makes sense. What are your goals for game development right now? I know you're getting your game out the door in like 5 months and stuff, but maybe a higher level goal. Like what are you trying to do with game development? What's your overarching goal?
I kind of like have always had faith in like if I gain knowledge, if my goal is knowledge, like everything will work out.
Sure.
So it's like that's always kept me calm. Like even working on my project Logcraft, whatever you want to call it, night ward, I was never like stressed like, oh my god, I'm not gonna finish this. Oh my god, I've been working on it so long, because I know like I come to work on it every day, and I'm focused on getting that knowledge. Like, and it's definitely helped, because when I started this game project, I was able to like fly through the initial stages. Like I was able, like that had developed.
Yeah.
So yes, I want to release this game to Steam. I want to have a Steam release, but I'm going to be gaining knowledge throughout this process. Whatever happens, whether it's a flop, whether it's a success, like I'm getting knowledge. So that's all that really matters.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll learn. I'll be interested to hear when you get your game on Steam, like what things you learn from that kind of last 20% of making a game. That elusive, terrible time, because it's just bug fixing and controller support and all these fun things.
I have controller support and controller remapping.
Do you play most games with controllers, or are you keyboard mouse first?
Oh yeah, have it within arm's reach.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, the controller remapping, that was the first time I did that. That was insane.
It's not a fun thing.
But I'm glad I did it early.
Yeah.
And now I understand the input event system so good.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Boom, you unlocked a skill. The next time you do it, you'll probably
it's
do
a
it even
game dev
better.
Skill tree.
Yeah. The game dev skill tree. Gosh, that would be cool. I feel like there's a lot of meta apps like that where it's like, I saw some video where someone was like it was like an app designed to get you to make a unique type of game. I don't remember who created that. And then like DevDuck created the Pomodoro type app. Like that could be a fun place to like build some sort of just like app in Godot that is around, productivity and stuff. And that could be a fun like tech tree for making for being a game developer. You've unlocked this, you can have that fun little like juice effect if you like check something off your list.
That would be cool to have like tutorials in the tech tree. So it's like you click it.
There you go. Yeah, you could like link to like, oh my gosh, that would be cool. You could like link to other tutorials, be like, hey, if you want to learn this skill, here's like a learning path with some, some good tutorials, some like free tutorials out there, and then you could even have like some Unity ones out there and stuff like that. And
no, not Unity. No.
not Unity. Sorry. Udemy is what I was thinking.
I'm telling Juan.
The Godot police show up and take me away.
Yeah. Did you go to GodotCon this year?
Did I?
Yeah.
No, I've never
Wasn't it
gone
in
to
America?
a con of any sort. I'm gonna go to a there's like these like indie game dev like chapters or whatever around the United States, and there's one that's happening in Minnesota here, so I'm gonna go to that one. I think to be like, I guess my first like public kind of con type situation, not a full con, but it's like an evening where people, I don't know, talk about game dev.
I think it's like when I think about my journey through this content creation, I think it's invaluable, all the conferences I've gone to. So it's like GDC, GodotCon, even like TwitchCon. Like when I think of all the people, all the streamers I've met, and it's like that's also a part of all of this. But like for instance, Mrs. I met him at GDC. I even met DevDuck at GDC.
Cool.
And I like all these conferences, all these people I've met. I met Stein, who makes music for Heartbound. I met him at TwitchCon. I met Pirate Software at TwitchCon many times. And just keeping in contact with these people, like talking to them, like hearing about what they're doing and just seeing face to face. It's such a different relationship you establish with people. That's something you can't really create online. So I really, if anybody is able to go to these conferences, I think it's super important.
Cool. I'll put on my list, my wish list to do once I.
If they have another, because they normally did the Godot cons in Europe, but I think they might be doing them in America.
I think there was one in like Boston this year or something. It just didn't quite work out for me. Boston's not too close to Minnesota, but yeah. What when you're like looking at those relationships you've made and stuff like that, is there something that surprises you? And like it sounds like you're kind of maybe surprised by how much value you got out of it. Like, yeah, what surprised you about meeting some of those people?
That everybody's just so cool. Like I can't think of someone who was like, wow, that person's a jerk. Like it's something in the game dev community where people are just so amazing. Like
Yeah.
I really don't have bad experiences there.
I wonder if it's because
They're
people are like, we're choosing to do this from like this like pure creative standpoint. Like I feel like
yeah,
some people maybe get into game
it's
development, try
true.
to make money, but like that's not the right path forward, right? Like if you want to make money, go work at a big Fortune 500 company or like Wall Street or some shit like that, right? You're gonna much more likely to make money. So I wonder if it's just that like we're all coming from this from like a pure
Well,
standpoint more and
I've
like
even no, I've met people at these conventions who are there for money, but even I can learn something from them
sure,
as well. Like, and I'm like, whoa, this guy's approaching it very different. But still, it's like, I think it's important to not judge people, whatever their motivations are. If your motivation is money, that's okay.
yeah,
Like, you can make a game and have that as your motivation, but like, just to talk, because I really like talking to people, like, and really getting at what they're getting out of it, and
yeah.
so I think it's fascinating either way, whatever. But you're right. I think generally most people have it for creative purposes, and that's what makes them super cool.
Yeah. And even if you're coming from a business standpoint, maybe there's something about gaming as a hobby and gaming as an industry that attracts a certain type of person that, at a bare minimum, even if you're getting in it for money standpoints, like you probably play games and that gives us some like commonality across the board that you can connect with someone really quickly and be like, oh, what are you interested in? X, Y, and Z. And like, I think being in the industry also helps. Like all of these podcasts I've been on and like talking to people, I've had the same experience. I'm like, oh, these are all really cool people that have very interesting and different perspectives on making games.
Yeah, I think also that Godot is open source also
Yeah.
eliminates a specific type of people, because that helps,
Yeah.
make it a nice place, I think.
Yeah. So looking back at your game development journey so far, what is one of the bigger lessons you've taken away from it? I don't have an answer to myself,
Um,
so it seems like a big question. I'm trying to think.
um, I I think it's validated what I originally like believed in, like trusting the process, like like remembering that every piece of information that you learn can be applied to games, whether you're watching a movie, whether you're drawing art, whether you're
Sure.
learning about the history of India.
Yeah.
You're gonna like what you need these experiences, and everything is just I see all of knowledge as a web connected with everything. And I think that's important to just yeah, just trust in the learning process and knowledge and everything.
I've been surprised by how much stuff of my life gets pulled out and put into game development. Like even just like my different jobs I've had over the years, like I'll start doing something like, oh, this is kind of like when I did this thing at that like completely unrelated corporate app I was making. Like this is a similar experience to that, and I can fall back on that. And like you said, random esoteric knowledge. Like I remember watching a Jotson stream, and he like was diving deep into like woodworking theory and stuff of like different types of wood and how they'd cut in. Like it's just I feel like it's so easy in game development to be like, well, I'm building procedural generation for this world, so now I need to understand how rain would fall and what that would do. And like all of a sudden you just find yourself deep in like learning about biomes and stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like it with you, but it's like I really cannot shut my game out of my head. So it's like whenever I'm even watching movies, I'm just like, oh, okay, I can like even like interrelationships with the characters. I'm like, oh, I could put that in my, and like, and I cannot shut it off. I'm thinking about my game 24/7. Like it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Like I apply everything to my game.
Yeah. It's maybe not always the game I'm currently making, but there's just like running like camera in my brain and like being like, what could become a game? And there's these random things I'm like, like I was listening to a podcast about MLMs and I'm like, there could be a game about an MLM, right? I'm like, interesting. Okay. And like, I feel like that's where I'm on when I'm on long walks, listening to podcasts and stuff. Just random ideas for other games will come in my head, and I'll like quickly like, stop
Yeah.
walking and like start typing an idea down or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's actually a good thing that I can't shut it off. Sometimes like I'm just purposely like I need to chill out.
Yeah, it's definitely changed how I approach just like content in general, and like something I've noticed after I started making either content or like my own games is when I finish a book and I get to the end of like the acknowledgement section, I love that part of it because like I'm like, this is a person who made this book. This is the people that helped them make that. I'm like, that's what means a lot to me too. Is like all the
Oh
people
yeah.
who have supported me and helped me, and like I love
Hmm.
reading the acknowledgments of a book because of that. Is there something like that for you that once you started making creative stuff, like it just like changed? I know you said you were like always thinking about the game, but do you have a particular example of something that switched when you started making games?
Wait, what do you mean switched?
An example, I think an easier example would be like, well, my example was like reading through the acknowledgments. It like changed how I used to skip that. Now I read every
Oh,
acknowledgement always. Like, or just even like playing games. I think I play games differently now that I make games. Like, I can turn my brain off and like enjoy them, but I'm also like checking in to be like, why do I enjoy them? What do they do here? What is that decision? Why, like there's like part of me that is also analyzing as I'm playing.
yeah. I mean that is also the case. Like you analyze the games you play. I don't know if there's anything that really switched. I do know when I'm reading a book, when I get towards the end, I get like I want to finish the book. Like I like the book so much, I just want to finish it super quickly. So I normally rush through the last pages.
Yeah,
And I feel like that could also apply when I'm working on a game. Like if I'm towards the end, I'm just like, I need to finish this now, and like I might rush and not enjoy as much. So I think that's also something I might want to work on, is enjoying the whole process and not getting feverish towards the end and finishing it.
do you think you're able to enjoy the game development journey so far?
Yeah, for sure. Like right now, I'm really enjoying it. But yeah, one thing I've been changing a lot with this game is like every morning I have in my notebook, I like go over the design and like plan it out in the morning. Also, on Sundays I write what I want to get done that week. And yeah, and I think I'm gonna start also doing monthly to dos, so that like what I want to get done in the month, and like also the versioning, like what version is my game at? Is it at 0.1? What is 0.2 gonna look like? 0.3? Like not getting too much because I'm not gonna really know what it's gonna look like in 5 months,
Yeah,
but like just having a general view and then like just brushing it every day, making sure that
sure.
it's viable. But yeah, just reconnecting because it's like game development could look like this, like you're going all over the place, but if you are able to center yourself every day, it could be more targeted, more accurate. You're going and you know what you're shooting for.
A little bit more intentional is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Like, I think you'll probably still meander through that path and things will likely change, but having the intention and having dedicated moments to be like setting that intention intentionally um
Yeah.
should be, I mean, that's a good idea. I kind of like that, of these like little milestones, and even like how you name your builds or the versions of your game could give you that like, okay, this is going to be coming, like it gives you the ability to say, I have this idea, I'm going to slot that into this milestone, whatever that, if it's point 0.5 or build 5 or X, Y, and Z, like that could be helpful.
Yeah.
I feel like I've kind
That's
of just
something
like
new I've been doing
scatterbrained
more.
my like game, that project management. I've just basically turned it into just lists, and I've like a
Yeah.
to-do list, which is like the immediate future,
Yeah.
and I have just a bunch of other lists, and then I have a final list called scope creep, and that's just like all these other ideas that are like probably never going to actually get done. I throw them down in literally the bottom of the Notion document.
Yeah. I think like if you have this holistic game idea, I feel like it's easy, and it's like you have this holistic approach where it's like everything comes together, and you also have a short deadline because there's so many things I'm just like, I want to do this. Oh, like for instance, I was gonna add meta progression in my game. I was like, okay, so you're gonna start at a camp, and it's like,
Hmm.
do I need it? And actually, I'm at the point where it's like I want very little meta progression. So
Yeah.
it's like, no, there's not going to be any camp. There's not going to be any structures, you know, that you're getting stronger in each run, and that actually reduces the scope a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that deadline really helps as well.
And you can always add it later. I think that's a big thing that I've learned. I mean, like Brandon Sanderson says that with his books, and he's like, he'll have a character he really loves or a story point, and he's like, I'll lie to myself and say, but it like doesn't fit. He's like, I'll lie and say I'll take it out and I'll put it back in later. And it's a noble lie. He's like 9 out of 10 times I never add it back in, and the story's better for that. I think that's like a lie we need to tell ourselves with some things of like, does this actually add to that core loop that you said you've nailed down, like, or is this like putting some sprinkles on top of it and like doesn't, like, yeah, it would add to the game, but is that worth the time right now to put in? Does it add to the core? Does it not? And like, can it be added later? I think is always a good question in my head of like, oh yeah, it could be added later. It doesn't need to be added right now for me to like be able to keep progressing on the game.
I think minimalism
Yeah.
is like a simpler way of saying it, because I think it's good. You know, you don't need more to have a better game. Like if we think about like all the games that we like, I don't know, maybe Path of Exile, is that minimal? Would you call that minimalism?
No. No, it's
Yeah,
not.
exactly. There's some games that do, but they have huge teams and everything. But if you look at, yeah, like Balatro, Stardew Valley, like it's pretty minimalistic. Of course, like, okay, after the release of Stardew Valley, there's a lot of content that's added, but that core doesn't need like farming, community. Like it really doesn't need to get more complicated. Like I think complexity is something that really is that thing that's like, yes, you need more complexity, but I think that's really something you need to silence if you really want just a minimalistic, holistic
Yeah.
game.
Because you could easily do, not easily, but you could trim out all the mines. You could trim out the beach and fishing, like, and that could be the core of the game. Could be farming,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
like delivering stuff to various people that you find around the
Community.
world, and like that could be the core. Like I would argue that might be the core of that game, and then slot in mining, slot in the beach, slot in the stuff in the later game, and like those are all added in later and like continually built, because that's a fun thing about game development. It's constantly evolving. A game's never done. Like you can always push out patches in the future. Like, could you imagine making a book and like publishing it and then reading it and being like, oh, there's a typo on page 97. We made 10,000 of these. There's a typo in our games. Fix, instantly, push, done. Everybody gets the update. It's solved. Like, I can't imagine making physical products. It'd be so hard.
Yeah. That's why it's like extrapolating the core of your game. So for my game, it's combat, leveling up, like in one run.
Yeah.
And that's the essence. And how I dress it up, because it's like I've added, I don't want to spoil too much, but like the dressing that I put on it, it just makes how I level up make sense. And it also entices the player to want to go further. And yeah, the
Cool.
like I said, the fuel in the car, kind of like the motor is the systems, but it's like the dressing up is the fuel that makes the player really want to go.
Is that kind of like
Keep
the
going.
content then is like what's going to be driving it forward?
No, it's not the content, it's the motivation. Yeah, it motivates the player.
Like there's like a
to
promise, if you keep
want-
going a couple more rooms, you're going to find another like fun piece of candy.
That has something to do with it, but it also is like the experience, the environment, and where everything takes place.
Cool.
The lore could be part of it as well. Like, trying to think if Minecraft has that dress up. I guess like the different biomes could be something that like you're exploring. Maybe exploration. What are you gonna find?
Yeah.
What's gonna be there? So it doesn't necessarily need to be like a story. But it has to be that thing that motivates you to go further. I don't know what Balatro it would be for that. But every game needs to have that, and it's not really the mechanics per se, I think.
Is Balatro
I'm not
literally
sure if
just trying to get that thing to start on fire, like your counter to start on fire? Is that it? Is that like, because that's kind of what it is, right? You're like, I want to make something where I see that thing really start on, like, because it has different levels of fire, and that feels really good in that game. And that kind of is that's like, I wonder if that's the why I like that
Yeah, I
game.
wonder if such games that like hack your dopamine
Yeah, the
are
promise is
within the same
dopamine.
context. Yeah, because like such games like that, yeah, I feel like they're dopamine hackers,
Yeah.
which is like it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the idea behind my game about a black hole is like, incremental games I think are fun because it's like if you had a hard day, rough day at work,
Oh yeah,
going
for
through
sure.
hard shit, like the last thing I want to do is like log into League of Legends and get my shit tossed by someone who's way better than me, right? Like I kind of want to like go in and just like hang out, make the number go bigger and like feel good, and that's kind of why I think I like incremental games. And like I'll be playing them
Yeah,
like this
for
is a
sure.
dumb loop, but I've been here for 3 hours, so I'm enjoying myself enough to like, be hanging out.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Are there other genres you're exploring the roguelike space right now, and maybe kind of that like it's like Binding of Isaac looking right in the combat style and stuff. Are there other genres you're interested in exploring eventually in your
Yeah.
journey?
I really like the tower defense. Like that's something I've
Ooh,
always wanted to
yeah.
make, a tower defense game. And like city builder type games. I really think those are very interesting.
Perhaps a
Also
city
like
builder tower defense game.
I was that's the king is watching. Don't remind me of that game. I uninstalled it. God damn it.
Like just one more run, one more, I will go.
Yeah, like factorial type games like management. I really like survival. Yeah, such games are really cool. Yeah, I think tower defense is something I really want to do.
Yeah. That'll be I mean I've spent many hours popping balloons with monkeys, so huge fan of them myself. All right, we're getting toward the end, so I like to ask kind of a bunch of fun questions at the end, or we'll call them like the quick round or something like that. A lot of podcasts do that, and I like to steal some of those ideas and questions.
No problem.
A really cool question is, what's the best advice that you've got that you've actually used?
Um, can I give the best advice that I got that I didn't
That's
use,
all.
that I'm
Sure,
glad that I didn't use?
sure.
Yeah, when people say don't overscope, don't make your dream game, like I think that I'm so glad I overscoped and I tried to make my dream game because that was just like an environment for me to just like have fun, make a game, like make what I'm passionate about, and like put in as many systems as I want. It's just like a simulation environment for me to learn and have fun. So it's like I'm so glad I overscoped and made a big game, even though it's not done yet.
Yeah.
Um, I'm glad I did that.
Because it let you like play in the space of game development, it sounds like, and like
Yeah, and
enjoy that.
refactor a lot and not care.
Yeah.
Not care if I'm spending too much time refactoring.
I feel like the don't make your dream game advice needs to have like the caveat of like depending on your goal.
You know, some people are kind of like, some people you could tell them don't do this, and then they're like okay, and they could learn from that and they won't do it. But some people they need to just do it.
I need to do
like,
it.
Yeah, I'm the type of person I need to do it. So it's like,
Yep.
yeah, maybe some people you could tell them and they'll listen, but yeah.
I think most of us are in the game development space are like, yeah, need to. I've made plenty of games
At
and
the
I'm
end
like,
of
this is way too big for me. Okay, I've learned that, or like based off my current goals and what I'm trying to do with my life, like now that idea is not good. Where like if I had infinite time and infinite money, yeah, I would for sure be making my own Path of Exile. But like, I don't have infinite time and infinite money, so therefore I'm not making.
Yeah, if
Path of
someone's
Exile.
quitting their job and making a game, like, okay, no, all right, chill out, chill out with your dream game.
There's different goals given the context of why you're doing game development, which I think is really important to like try to get to that core of like, why am I doing this thing, right? Like, what is it about the thing you're doing, and like trying to like really get honest with that can then help inform your decision making process and stuff like that. Cool.
Yeah.
Best advice that you haven't used is to not make your dream game, and you did it instead, and you learned a lot through that process, which is awesome. First game you ever made? I think you said Mario maybe, but like, do you consider that your first
Oh.
game you made?
Oh, actually, I used to teach kids programming. Like in Poland, I was teaching English, but I was like, can I actually teach them programming and English? So that's what I did, and I was teaching them Python, and then we got into Pygame. So it's
Ah,
like
sure,
we did like space shooting games. So it's like probably Pygame was the first game, like a
cool.
little space shooter game.
Do you think that
Yeah.
experience of teaching kids helped you with doing Twitch streaming and sometimes chat feels like a bunch of kids or like YouTube tutorials and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I was teaching because like if you go to Europe and you're American, like that's it, you automatically get a job.
Yeah.
So, I was teaching from like 19 to I don't know, I stopped teaching I guess like 25, I
Are
guess.
you
So,
American?
like I am,
Oh,
yeah.
where are you from?
I'm from Miami.
From Miami, Mimi. Um,
I'm
why'd you go to
Colombian American,
Poland?
so
I
it's
mean,
like
this is getting personal, so we don't have to keep talking
yeah,
about this.
no,
But
no,
like,
it's
why'd
okay.
you move to Poland?
Because I didn't want like student debt.
That's a great reason to move.
But I graduate. I paid 1,500 euros a semester.
What?
And yeah, and I was able to work and make pretty good money, like because being qualified. If you think about it, you're heavily qualified if you're a native English speaker. So I went to school and I worked. I was able to afford a studio apartment in Poland
Yeah.
from my own, from working and stuff. And it was just a really cool place. Like I'm pretty like I've always wanted to grow up in Europe. I think me growing up in Miami pushed me out even more because I don't know if you've ever been, but Miami is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like never vibed with it. Like I love my family like who live here and my friends, but it's like it's a very crazy place.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah,
Why
so I
Poland?
came my friend she was at American University and she was doing this program where they were teaching English and she asked me if I wanted to go and I was at the University of Orlando and I was doing a month in Germany and I was like, "Oh, I'll be in Germany. It's right next door." So then when I came and I taught in Poland, um I just really fell in love with the city. It
Cool.
was just such a cute city, public transportation, education, like being so close to all the countries. Like I've always been in love with Europe, so for me it was kind of no brainer.
Wow.
And I calculated everything. I was like, okay, I'm spending this much on rent. I'm spending this much on tuition. I'll be in this much in debt. And I was like, okay, I'm
The
going.
math makes a lot of sense. That's
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. Um, what is who's a role model that you look up to that you've never met? Mine is do you know Adam
Uh,
Savage? He's an old Mythbuster.
Adam Savage is
Yeah.
on
He
MythBusters.
was on Mythbusters.
Maybe I know his face.
Yeah, he has his
Yeah.
channel's tested now on YouTube, and he's just a really cool old guy who creates a lot of stuff in his cave, and he's very wise for his years, and it's somebody I look up to with how he approaches his communication style and just the creative process in general. He talks a lot about that, and you can easily abstract out. He's like building physical stuff like cosplay things and different things like that, but you can easily abstract that out into game development, and I've always found that very inspiring.
My favorite book genre is biographies. And
Ooh,
I love Marie Curie. Albert Einstein. I know like a lot of these people they also have things in their past where it's like they're not like I don't idealize
sure.
anyone. I think everyone has their
Yeah,
stuff.
controversies
It's like
noted. Yes.
yeah, like Archimedes, Isaac Newton. Like I love reading all these biographies and I'm inspired so much by all of these people. And I get like I said when like there's a dev that makes a good game and I like look and I research and I see how they do like I get obsessed with these people and I like really try to see what motivates them, how they're able to do that, like what was going on in their life. Like I don't isolate their discoveries, like I try to look at it at a holistic view, like what got them to that point because I think there's so many things that go into a good product, and it's not just the work, but it's also the things around it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
My final question, how do you manage scope creep, and how do you like maybe defend your project from scope creep, or do you not? Kind of what's your relationship with scope creep?
So yeah, it's like in my game Logcraft, there was no defense. I let it all come.
Yeah.
But in this project, it's having a deadline and being like, I need to get. It's also, if you need money, that helps. So it's like having a deadline. God damn, I need that. I need it. So it's like there's a lot of things that come into play with that, but having a strict deadline and having a good idea that like really like, oh yay, I can maybe do this, all of those things that come, but the deadline helps. So and that's the thing, like like overestimate, like think that you could do it in 5 months. Who cares? You don't do it, whatever you do, 7 months or 9 months, whatever. At least if you have 5 months, you know that it's like you can't play around.
You're making decisions given that time constraint, which is helpful.
Yeah. So overestimate your abilities. Why not?
I like that a lot. Anything else that you got on the top of your brain here as we wrap it up?
How's your cat doing? Is he on the tower?
Yeah, he's in the very top right now. He literally just stood up, turned around, and sat back down.
No, it was really nice talking to you. I'm glad we finally got to.
Yeah, I feel like I've soft invited you on the podcast like 3 or 4 times at this point. So fun to actually get to talk to you in person. And I thought you were European this whole time. Like I had no idea that you were.
Oh yes,
from America.
I'm European. Yeah. No, I'm American. But. Yeah, I mean, I've seen, I think it's cool. Like, I remember when you were working on Chess Survivors, and when you went back to work, and I was like, dang. And then when you came back, I was like, yay. It was like, I've been lurking in the distance, so I'm happy that, you're getting the games out. It's inspiring. Yeah. Like, it's great to see you, like, talking about the process. Like, I've been listening. I think it's really great.
Yeah.
So thank you for making all this content. It's nice.
Right back at you. Well, thanks for coming on. We'll have you again soon when you I'm talking as though it's me and my cat, when you get your game released on Steam in 5 months, right?
Thank you. Yeah, that would be I'd be honored to come back.
Sweet. Pretty cool conversation, right? Like I feel like I learned a lot and had some really interesting perspectives shared from Jackie. So thank you again for Jackie for coming on the podcast. It was so nice to finally meet you in person. And I'm ceased to be surprised by how cool all the people I'm meeting in the game dev space are. So I'm so excited to keep doing this podcast. It is really just a selfish thing that I want to do. To talk to other cool people and share them with you. So again, if you have any questions for me that you want me to answer in a random Q&A episode or something like that, leave them down in the comments below, and make sure to go check out Jackie's YouTube channel, Jackie Codes. There'll be links down in the description to both YouTube and her Twitch channel over on Twitch. That's it. I hope you have a great rest of your day with whatever you're doing, or if you're on a long walk, enjoy that walk. Bask in the sun and have good ideas for the next game idea. I've been Aarimous. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.